getting out there and just being yourself with something you want to share with people is the most important thing. Just start doing it.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Adrienne Jewell. I am a part-time reseller, and today's video is going to be a reseller spotlight video. I'm going to share with you one of my friends that I've met through the reselling community, and I'm so grateful for her. Her name is Tiara. She goes by RueSanFrancisco on Poshmark and Instagram. She has been featured at many Poshmark events, including this year's 2019 PoshFest, where she shared her Posh story. After you watch this video, please leave a comment down below for Tiara and let her know what you think about her story, anything that you can relate to, or any questions you have for her. Tiara is super vibrant all around with her personality, her wardrobe, her closet. I mean, just everything about her is just vibrant. That's one word that I have to describe her. So without further ado, here is my friend Tiara.
So my name is Tiara. My Poshmark closet is RueSanFrancisco, and please check it out. Also check out Adrienne's closet because it's lovely. But yeah, that's my closet. I used to have a jewelry business called, well, I still do. I dove pretty hard into Poshmark, so I don't give it the love and care that I used to, but it was called Rue Savoir-Faire, which was a very literal French interpretation of like street know-how and street smarts. And my whole jewelry line and the concept of it was based on upcycling and remaking old things into new things. I did a lot of custom pieces for people, which is, I started on Etsy and kind of had to take my business off there because I got custom orders, which was really lovely. I had repeat customers and clientele, which was really nice. And so when I moved to Poshmark, those like trio of letters just really meant a lot to me. Like I'd already built, I wasn't even building a brand. I wasn't trying to brand myself with my jewelry at all. But I just loved the name. I loved the trio of letters. I didn't want to mess that up. And I wanted to add like an element of home. And to me, it still means like, to me, my rough interpretation, like streets of San Francisco and whatever you might see when you're out and about on the streets, whether you're going to Folsom Fair or the Cherry Blossom Festival in Japantown, or you're walking down Clement Street and you're, you know, hitting a new bakery, you're gonna see completely different styles, levels, and interpretations of fashion, and that's what I feel like I've tried to capture in my closet. I like just a little dash of vintage, and maybe a heavy dash of vintage. I like shoulder pads. I pretty much like an outfit that when I put it on and walk out in front of my boyfriend, he's like, yeah, it's like a word that like goes through every generation before he's like, I don't even know what that is, but you look great. And that's what it is. It's just finding, I feel sometimes like you can almost just put a blindfold on and just reach in the closet and pull out like 10 things, and somehow, like maybe a little elimination or careful styling, but you have amazing outfits in your closet. I just bought a pair of pants from Voyages of Verb a couple weeks ago, and I have not worn them as pants. I've worn them as a cape and a turban, and they're gonna be a belt maybe later tonight if I can't get my belt situation together. So I've already let them know like those pants refuse to live a regular life, and that's how I feel about my clothes. They refuse. I am happy to wear it backwards or inside out, or a sleeve torn off because it was damaged anyway. Like I just like to be myself when I'm getting dressed, and I'm really fortunate to live in a city where no matter what that means, I get no judgment. There's no side eye because there's gonna be a dude in a thong behind me that's like blowing me out of the water. So there's not really like, there's no holding back. And I love that about San Francisco, and I feel like maybe I've harnessed a little bit of her in my style, like her wildness and her mystery fog and like hidden things, and I don't know, lots of surprises. That's me. Hauly is actually another story that I've never told, and I'm going to tell you right now. I bought Hauly with Poshmark earnings. I looked for Hauly for 7 years on Craigslist, faithfully, like weekly. I checked ads. I wanted an old meter maid car. I wanted something that got good mileage and had a little flair and had a big trunk. I found her, and it just so happened that I had been on enough of my Poshmark journey and had committed to setting savings aside for that specific purpose that I was able to totally buy her with. And she's not $1 million car. She has 3 wheels. She's a retired meter maid car. I hug her every day. Even if I'm not driving her, I like to go outside and just remind her that she's so weird and unique, and in a city that is weird and unique, and where I do see other little old meter maid cars. I've never seen another Hauly, and I love that she's just like kind of sewn into my fiber of being unusual. But also she gets like 60 miles to the gallon, so it's really nice to have something that I can get around town and that's affordable. Olga is my party saguaro. I got her from an UGG display window in Las Vegas. I've started incorporating her into some of my shoots, but not as much as I want to. Now that I have a more comprehensive area to do photos in, I will be using her more. And then Gertie, love of my life, that's my mannequin. I found her on the mean streets of San Francisco. She was put out to the trash. Like, she was literally in between 2 blue bins when I saw her. I was walking and I was like, oh, it's like they put a person out with the trash, and my heart broke in half. And I wasn't even on Poshmark. I rescued her. And then for 3 embarrassing years after that, she was like a Christmas tree pretty much. So she was in the living room and she'd get wrapped in tinsel, and I wouldn't buy a tree, but she'd get covered in whatever decor I had on hand that was Christmassy. So she spent a few years like not having glory times before I started using her to help me grow my Poshmark closet. And she's a whole entity. She always has the same necklace on. It's part of my logo. And she's, I don't know, I feel just as attached to her as I do to Hauly and Olga, who are inanimate objects who don't talk back to me, but they're just like a part of who I am and how I've marketed, not even marketed, just been myself, and made that relatable. I think we all have something that's a little strange in our lives. I don't have many normal things, I feel like, to lean back on. I have always been, as I said today, a devoted Unusualist, and I've always kind of just loved being myself. It's not always been met with all the, welcome applause, but I've never shied back from that, and that's why I love having such unique parts and pieces of things that are associated with me and my business. So I take all my photos with my Samsung. All my Rue photos are taken with my Samsung S7, which is my old phone. It doesn't have the best camera in the world. It's pretty decent, but good light. And honestly, I learned from stocking closets like yours and Nicole's State and Voyages of Verb and other users who just had such consistent, beautiful, or as the case may be, just like very straightforward modeled pieces that aren't, or flat lays. I really felt like I needed something that made my closet mine, and where I'm at and the view that I have, which I know is not everybody's view, and I know a lot of people love San Francisco, and I kind of feel obligated to share a piece of that. Every time I even look at a picture that I've taken, which I've learned a lot. I just went back and looked at my Posh closet recently and some of my early photos, and they're not great. I didn't know how to edit, and a lot of it was just, I read my phone manual from cover to cover, and I found out about features that I didn't know what buttons were for. It's just my camera on my phone. It's not anything fancy, and I don't use any editing software. I just use maybe a little filter, or I brighten something if it looks dim, but overall I don't. My process and what I want to bring to the table is the piece in movement, preferably if possible, if there's a little wind to help me out, and just like a piece of where I'm from and a little piece of like history of where something that you might fall in love with forever, or wear to your wedding or go on a first date in. We'll have a little piece of that with it. A lot of what I ended up doing on Poshmark was born out of desperation. Like, I didn't have time to figure out what a plan was gonna be, or how to take a nice photo, or what a nice photo might translate to. I kinda had really high rent to pay, and a landlord who's really cool but probably didn't wanna start any kind of payment plan. And I also live with my partner of 17 years, and I would never want to jeopardize the fact that he loves the city just as much as I do. We both have worked very hard to be able to stay there, and my advice, I guess, would be like, even if desperation isn't a factor and it's not something that you have kind of the heat of responsibility resting on you to do, just like do it. Just take a picture of something and put it out there. And I don't know, do you play the flute? Like, lay your flute in the background. Do you like love Cheetos? Like, dump a bag of those out. Make something that's like yours, that you love. And I used to really, like, literally frown when people would be like, find a job you love and you'll never work another day in your life. And I'd be like, that's not a statement that's real. Because in all the years I bartended, I never wanted to come home after like a 9-hour shift and set up a bar in my living room and keep going. Not once. I wanted to come home and be done and unplug. And now I've had to set boundaries and like schedules with myself about clocking out of Poshmark and treating it like a job, and making sure that I don't put in a 12-hour shift, which is something I wouldn't have just like accidentally done in my previous career, no matter how much I loved it. And I put in many long shifts like that. But to put a shift in with Poshmark, which could be 1,000 different things, sorry, I'm losing my voice. To do that and encompass so many talents within a day. You're doing accounting, you're doing bookkeeping, you're doing editing, you're working with software, you're using numbers, you are managing percentages and math, which I'm horrible at. Thankfully, Poshmark gets a lot of that handled and just automatically calculates things. But I really feel like getting out there and just being yourself with something you want to share with people is the most important thing. Just start doing it. I'm still on the ride of what it felt like to speak in front of everybody and share my story. It felt amazing. I told Poshmark team on my way out that it literally felt like I lifted 20 pounds off my body, and that I was gonna go celebrate losing 2 dress sizes with a glass of champagne, because it felt so good to just finally speak the story that like I've really kept to myself because I haven't been ready to share it. Also, it's still kind of raw, and I don't know, I just think about like if somebody tomorrow said no more Poshmark and took the app away, like that's how it felt for me to have to start fresh, and to be able to get outside of what happened enough to talk about it, and not only to do that, but to do it for the first time in front of friends and family, pretty much. It felt really good. There's not a word for it, really. It was really awesome. My name's Tiara. I'm a devoted Unusualist. I'm your friend in fashion, and I'm a conqueror of unfortunate circumstance. And that's my Poshmark story.
Thank you so much, Tiara, for allowing me to feature you on my channel yet again. I did feature her on my channel in my reseller photography video. So if you didn't watch that, I'll link that in the cards up above for you and in the description for you. Don't forget to show Tiara some love in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up. And until next time, I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful sales week and lots of sales days ahead.